welcome to this explainer. Let's just dive straight in, shall we? Today, we're taking a really fascinating journey into the hidden and honestly highly malleable mechanisms of our own minds. You know, we often walk through life feeling like we've got a firm, conscious grip on the steering wheel. But modern psychology and neuroscience, they paint a wildly different picture. Get ready, because we are about to explore the vast submerged iceberg of human behavior. So I have to ask, are you really the one making your decisions? It feels a little uncomfortable to even think about, doesn't it? We completely pride ourselves on our logic, our independence, and our conscious choices. But as we're about to see, the science strongly suggests that the you who is supposedly calling the shots is very often just taking a back seat to unseen forces. Now, what's really interesting about this is that number right there. Research highlighted by cognitive scientists reveals that a staggering 67% of our behavior is completely unconscious. Think about that for a second. That means for every 3 things you do, 2 of them are running on an invisible cognitive autopilot. So if we aren't consciously thinking about the vast majority of our actions, what exactly is driving them? Section 1, the autopilot illusion. To figure out what's driving us, we have to start right at the visible surface of human behavior, where our daily environment quietly manipulates us without us even noticing. Consider the framing effect. This is a classic psychological concept where our choices are completely steered by exactly how information is presented, rather than the actual information itself. Marketers and restaurants use this relentlessly. For example, if a menu describes a steak as 75% lean rather than 25% fat, your brain just instantly categorizes it as the healthier, better choice, even though, logically, it is the exact same piece of meat. Your autopilot just got hijacked by a couple of clever adjectives. And honestly, no one hijacks that autopilot quite like big tech. In today's attention economy, your emotions are literally for sale. Tech companies employ absolute armies of psychologists to engineer digital environments and social media platforms that intentionally trigger your cognitive biases. They know exactly how to keep you scrolling by exploiting your brain's deep-seated need for social validation. And yeah, even outrage. It's not a lack of willpower on your part, it's a precisely engineered assault on your unconscious mind. But hey, our cognitive autopilot isn't always working against us. Consider the Zeigarnik effect. This is the brain's fascinating tendency to basically fixate on uncompleted tasks while easily forgetting the finished ones. So the really cool point here is that having messy habits, like intentionally leaving a project unfinished at the end of your workday, can actually boost your overall productivity. Your unconscious brain just keeps chewing on the problem overnight, making it so much easier to jump right back into the flow the next morning. Section 2, the memory mirage. Okay, so if our daily decisions are so easily manipulated, surely we can at least trust our own memories of the past, right? Well, neuroscience has some bad news for you. Our brains do not record reality like a video camera, they actively construct and often distort it. Let's just debunk a few massive myths right now. First off, photographic memory. It doesn't actually exist in the scientific literature. No one has it. Second, the whole concept of repressed memories is highly debated and has been shown to be incredibly prone to false recreation. But the most shocking one, your most vivid, emotionally charged memories are very often your most flawed. Literally every single time you recall a memory, your brain rewrites it, which means your most cherished memories might actually be the furthest things from the actual truth. And this fallibility of memory shows up in highly relatable, everyday ways too. You know when you walk into a room and completely forget why you went in there? We've all done it. That is called the doorway effect. Your brain compartmentalizes information based on your physical environment. Walking through a literal doorway acts as an event boundary, which prompts your brain to just dump its short-term memory cache so it can prepare for a brand new environment. But here's where things get really wild. Memory isn't just a top-down process happening in your head. Your stomach is actually involved. A completely fascinating recent discovery shows that signals traveling all the way from your gut directly help your brain decide what to turn into a lasting memory. In studies, consuming nutritious meals triggered strong memory-building activity in the brain, but drinking sweet, non-nutritious liquids, it did not. Literally, your gut is down there telling your brain when an experience is physically valuable enough to remember. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can optimize our own learning. When we want to commit things to memory or solve really hard problems, we bounce between 2 cognitive modes, focus thinking and diffuse thinking. Focus thinking is exactly what it sounds like, when you are intensely concentrating on a task.
But diffuse thinking? That happens when you step away, go for a walk, or just let your mind wander. Science shows that to truly grasp complex ideas, you absolutely need to alternate between the two. Your brain genuinely needs that diffuse downtime to connect the dots in the background.
So if you want a practical takeaway for focused learning, you really can't beat the Feynman technique, named after the brilliant physicist Richard Feynman. The process goes like this. First, you choose a concept. Then, you try to teach it in terms so simple that a child could understand it. When you inevitably stumble, well, you've just found a gap in your own understanding. So you go back, you review, and you simplify it even further. It completely forces your brain out of the illusion of competence and builds true, lasting memory. Section 3, Rewriting Reality Through Sleep. All right, we've seen how memory and attention work while we're fully awake, but what is actually going on when the lights go out? For decades, a lot of scientists just assumed dreams were random mental noise. But a massive recent study, which analyzed over 3,700 dream reports, proves otherwise. Dreams aren't random at all. They're actively shaped by our waking experiences and our distinct personalities. When you sleep, your brain is busy rewriting and processing your reality, running these complex emotional simulations to actually prepare you for waking life. And understanding the biology of sleep holds incredible keys to our brain health. In what feels like an epic biological narrative, researchers recently uncovered a surprising culprit behind the severe sleep loss we often see in Alzheimer's disease. It turns out the brain's own immune armies, these cells called microglia, become overactive and trigger inflammation that literally destroys sleep. Astoundingly, when scientists managed to calm these immune cells in models, they restored 2 full hours of sleep. And they did it without even clearing the toxic plaques we normally associate with the disease.
Section 4, the brain's hidden frontier. It is time to plunge into some cutting-edge, totally awe-inspiring neuroscience discoveries that are literally rewriting the textbooks as we speak. First, let's deliver a bit of a surprising scientific reality check. Millions of people take omega-3 fish oil supplements religiously, thinking it's great for their brain health. But a rigorous 2-year study just burst this massive myth. While the supplements did successfully deliver omega-3s to the brain, researchers found absolutely zero meaningful benefits for memory, cognition, or fighting off cognitive decline. Sometimes what we just accept as common sense is actually just really great marketing. But on the flip side, science is discovering that some famous, long-standing medications possess hidden control switches right inside our deep brain circuits. Check out these incredible breakthroughs. Metformin, which is a 60-year-old diabetes drug, doesn't just work in the gut. Scientists just found out it acts directly in a hidden sugar control center inside the brain. Then there's rapamycin, which showed the astounding ability to reverse autism-like symptoms in adult mice within hours from just a single dose. And the super popular GLP-1 weight loss drugs, they actually work by quieting the deep brain reward circuits that drive pleasure-seeking food cravings. The brain is reacting to these medicines in ways we literally never even imagined. Ultimately, all of these physical brain mechanics, the gut signals, the immune cells, the cognitive biases, they lead us right to the ultimate hardest problem in all of science. The renowned neuroscientist Christoph Koch recently posed a stark, deeply philosophical question. He asked, what if the brain does not create consciousness? He argues that traditional materialism has utterly failed to explain how physical, biological gray matter somehow generates our rich, subjective inner lives. Which, honestly, leaves us staring straight into an existential void. We know our autopilot controls 67% of our behavior. We know our memories are just flawed mirages. We know our gut and our immune cells manipulate our minds. But when it comes down to the very core of you, your actual felt awareness, we are still totally in the dark. So I'm going to leave you with this mind-blowing question to chew on. If the physical brain doesn't create your subjective experience, then what exactly does? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I absolutely cannot wait to explore more of these mysteries with you next time.